if you guys can start commenting on this live so that I can know that there are people joining in and there are people interested to know more about this car. So talking through, so as I can see a lot of people joining in, so hello and welcome to the Quint. We are here in Goa for the first drive of the Renault Captur. This is a premium SUV that is going to be launched very soon in the Indian market. जैसे कि आप जानते हैं प्रीमियम एसयूवी का जो सेगमेंट है काफ़ी हॉट हो चुका है आज के टाइम पे. अभी हाल ही में आपने देखा था जीप ने अपना कंपस लॉन्च किया था. सो देयर आर लॉट ऑफ कार्स देयर इन द मार्केट एंड द ऑटोमेकर्स रियलाइज दैट अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल वांट बिग साइज कार्स. However, these are not big size cars. They are big in size, but not so much in power. So let's talk you through to the features of this car that's going to launch. This car will be available in the color that you can see in front of you, and in addition to that, you'll get a nice orangish shade to it as well. I really don't, I mean the color variant that is available, that will be available, is not something that I can really say out right now. But as you can see, this is a car which is going to launch very soon. This is the Renault Captur. This is a premium crossover SUV as the company calls it, and we'll give you a closer look at the car from the inside, from the outside, the boot space, the engine, everything, the ground clearance. The most important thing over here, as you can see, this car comes with a 210 mm ground clearance, and Renault claims that this is going to be good enough to be driving on the Indian roads. जैसे कि आप जानते हैं बारिश के मौसम में काफ़ी पॉट होल्स होते हैं, काफ़ी स्पीड ब्रेकर्स हैं इंडियन रोड्स पे, because the speed is something that is essential. It needs to be controlled, which is why it's good to see that a car in this segment is catering to those practical aspects and does it quite well. 210 mm is definitely a class leading in this segment right now, and Abhi Renault hasn't announced the price for this car, so I can't really say how much or how it's going to compete with, but all I can say is, considering it's a premium crossover SUV, the SUV factor and the premium clearly makes it a point that a Jeep could definitely be a competition for this, or maybe a Creta, maybe the Mahindra XUV. We can't really talk about that so much because, again, as I mentioned, the price hasn't been unveiled yet, and that will happen very soon. The launch is supposed to happen within a month's time, so stay tuned for that and the first drive of this car on the Quint from me. So Manish in Italy last week looks great. Yes, Manish, Italy में जो आपने देखा होगा उसमें और इसमें काफ़ी फ़र्क है. Renault says that this car has been tailor-made for the Indian conditions. As you can see, 210 mm ground clearance जो है आपको वो किसी भी अदर कैप्चर में नहीं मिलेगा जो देश के मतलब दुनिया के बाकी देशों में जो मिलता है. So there are a lot of differences here. There's some additions that have been made. Safety is paramount for this car, as Renault mentioned, and ground clearance, as I highlighted as well. So this is the front of the car. As you can see, those are the similar Renault traits that we've come across on the Duster and the Kwid. The usual Renault badge on the front, right in front, right next to the front grille. And then you've got these interesting DRL automatic headlamps, but I would say that the even more interesting aspect is the floating indicators. They look really classy and stylish, I would say, and something different to offer, because indicators are something which are clearly lost. अब आप सिर्फ indicators use करते हैं turn करने के लिए left या right, but इस indicators को देख के you might actually find it appealing, and for me it did really do that so well. So let's look at the side of the car now, as a lot of people want to know. How many airbags? Parimal, इसमें front में airbags हैं और side में airbags हैं. So that's a lot covered up there, and this is not a 7-seater. So let me be clear on that. This is not a 7-seater. This is primarily a 4-seater of sorts, because premium SUVs are not catering to mass, like not the mass market, as well as not a lot of people as well at the same time. So in addition to that, you've got 17-inch alloy wheels, and Renault claims that इसके जो सारे variants है उसमें आपको सारे features मिलेंगे, and by that I mean DRL headlamps, power windows. So those are things which are expected to be available on this car, as mentioned by Renault. Talking about the price, there is no price yet, so we can't really talk about it so much, as I mentioned earlier. And Goa में इसको drive करने में जो मज़ा है, I can only say that I had a fun time. This car will be available in both petrol and diesel variants. 6-speed manual transmission है. अभी Renault doesn't plan to bring a automatic variant, at least for now, and that might actually be a deal breaker for a lot of people, but we'll talk about that later, because we're still waiting for the price to come out. And please open the door, internal look. Yes, Shehan, we'll definitely do that. But isse pehle, we have a lot of other viewers joining in us right now. So we just want to give them a closer look at the 360-degree side of this car. This is the Renault Captur. This is a crossover, premium crossover SUV as Renault calls it, with a ground clearance of 210 mm, which is a class leading and the most that Captur is offering across any parts of the world right now, as Renault has claimed. So in terms of the pricing, there's no pricing yet. The launch will happen probably in a month's time. And noise of engine while driving. So this is the diesel variant, Siddharth. So the noise is not so audible. NES levels have been maintained quite well, and the overall cladding inside the car and the overall architecture of the car ensures that there's not so much noise, and the comfort factor is definitely there. Considering it's a premium SUV, you don't expect anything less than that, so that's a good thing as well. Bhavesh Prince, I don't know if you mean price. Bhavesh, इसका price अभी नहीं है हमारे पास. The car hasn't been launched. We are here in Goa for the first drive of this car. Stay tuned with the Quint. आप हमारा first drive video देखिए, जानिए इस गाड़ी के बारे में, and price आपको within the next month पता चल जाएगा. Shubham, expected price, I can't really speculate right now, but looking at the competition and what Renault claims, I think it's going to be within the likes of the Jeeps and the Mahindra XUVs right now. So again, not quoting a number, but that's the segment they're looking at. It's a C SUV segment, as the company calls it, and these are the cars which it will be lining up against. Ajay, which segment? Oh yes, Ajay, as I mentioned, C segment SUV ka ye cater karega. They're calling it as a crossover premium SUV with some practicality aspects covered up. The headroom is quite decent. I saw a 6 feet guy sitting in the car and still having enough space between his head and the roof. So that's quite decent for me, and the legroom is also quite good. So these are the aspects which have been covered in this car, and the overall look is very Renault and very French styling that's being catered to. The company claims that the USP of the car is definitely going to be style, but practicality has definitely not been mistaken. Abhishek, price hasn't been announced. The car hasn't been launched as well. It's just been unveiled. So we are here in Goa for the first drive. Stay tuned to the Quint for the first drive. It will come out very soon. And we'll also keep an eye for the price, because price is what is going to make or break the market for this car. Please open the door. I want to see. Okay, Vicky, I think it's about time that people start seeing what's inside the car now. So there's a bit of premiumness inside the car, as you can see over here. There's a 7-inch navigation screen. You've got the dash over there. For me, it's a bit too plastic, as you can see, as you can hear. It's a bit too plastic, and for a premium crossover SUV, I'd expect more. So I think these are some of the kind of cost-cutting measures, if I can say, has been put into this car. And the navigation looks very similar to what you've got with the Quid and the latest Quid that was there in the market right now. So in terms of seating capability, as you can see, it's got some nice soft cushioning, two dual tone seats, and they're quite comfortable, and they are quite ergonomic as well. So these are again the aspects that have been taken care of, especially considering that it's going to be a premium SUV and that you need a car which is comfortable enough to be riding along long distance. Now let's look at from the back of the car now. This is the seating, as you can see. There's enough space here for 2 people, and as I mentioned, the headroom is good enough, even though it looks slightly smaller from the outside, but it's quite deceptive, and the headroom has been taken very well, has been taken care of very well, and the legroom is managed quite nicely as well. You can have 2 people seating over here. A third person might not be the most comfortable, especially considering that there are cup holders over here, but all in all, I think it's nice, and it's a fancy 4-person crossover SUV who can definitely look at this as an option. And while driving this, I definitely want to point out that the ground clearance became very, very obvious, because we went through a lot of bumps, we went through a lot of potholes, we went through a lot of speed breakers while driving on our way to the Varna industrial estate, and we can clearly see that the ground clearance makes a huge difference, and this is the kind of practicality we are looking at. Indian buyers want practicality because our roads demand that, and it's good to see that even though it's a premium segment car, it caters to that. So that's a brilliant takeaway from here. And all in all, this is a car that's going to be rivaling the likes of Jeep, XUV 500, the competition is intense. Everyone wants big cars, everyone wants to make big cars, but kitna chalega, kitna bikega, kitne ka padega, that only we'll get to know once the car launches. And in terms of the overall capacity, you get petrol and diesel, as I mentioned, with a 6-speed manual transmission. Abhi koi automatic variant nahi milne wala hai is gaadi mein, and Renault doesn't plan to bring anytime soon. Might be a deal breaker for some people. It packs a 1.5 liter petrol and diesel engine, and it's got torque of 140 Newton meters for the petrol, and it goes up to 240 Newton meters for the diesel variant. So there's a lot of power in there. 1.5 liter may or may not work, but it's been completely built over the architecture that you have for the Duster in the country. So it's more or less powered in the same lines of the Duster. It's just that it looks much more classier than what the Duster is. The Duster is, as you might know, be recognized as a rugged SUV, which can do both off-road and on-road to a certain extent. But this is something which is more fitting towards the city roads, city driving, city conditions, if I can say, and not so much like going off-road. Off-road shouldn't probably a problem, especially considering its ground clearance. But all in all, I don't think that's where Renault's positioning at. They want the Duster owners to probably upgrade to this. They are looking at possibly other SUV options. The buyers who are looking for other options to consider this. Mudassir says it's a failure in India. It was very poor. Okay, Mudassir, I guess you've not had a good experience with Renault. We'll definitely share your feedback and see how that can be done. And I'm sure they'll definitely want to improve. So we touched upon this point and we asked the company about this, that this is a premium SUV. How are you going to cater to the service? How are you going to manage that? So Renault claims that this car's service is going to be as good as anything in the market right now, especially compared to the competition. They're going to make sure that you get quick, convenient service, which is not going to be compromised at all. So that is something we look forward to, in addition to the price that's going to be announced very soon. The car is expected to be launched probably within a month's time, and considering that the Diwali season is almost here, I think this is a bonanza time for car makers, especially with other cars coming in later this month. Let's check out some more questions. Kiran, Hyundai cars are the best than Renault. Okay, Kiran has some very personal feelings to share, so let's go with that. Siddharth, show the boot space. Yes, Siddharth, of course, I'll show you the boot space. As you can see over here, this is the side, and this is the 210mm ground clearance, as I mentioned just a while back. It's essential for Indian roads, essential for the traffic that we go through, essential for the bumps we go through as well. And just a second, so that's the boot space on this SUV. So there's some luggage over here just to show you how much space there is. And let's be honest, there's a lot of space in here. You can easily pack up more than 4 or 5 bags of yours and still have enough space to keep more stuff. So CC, Pawan, this packs a 1.5 liter engine. So as you can see, the capacity is available in both petrol and diesel with 6-speed manual transmission. Does it come with automatic? No, Priyank, that's the downer for me as well. No automatic yet, but hopefully Renault brings an automatic variant, just like how they did with the Kwid. So this is the back of the car. Again, the Renault badging, as you can see, the lights, the tail lamps, the LED tail lamps are there as well. And it's got a nice appeal on the road. It doesn't look intimidating, but it doesn't look small as well. So there's a good deceptive feeling about this car, especially when driving. You have this comfort that you need. And with, again, the ground clearance, I repeatedly mentioned this ground clearance part because I think for Indian roads, it is essential. And it's good to see that this being served on this car. So that's the Renault Captur. It's launching soon in the Indian market. We don't have the price yet. It's a premium crossover SUV.